All right, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Today is Tuesday, August 10th. Sorry about that. I had a bit of a chuckle in my throat here. My name is Bojan Petreski, go by Bo, easy to say to remember. Today we'll be looking at some Forex trades as well as some crypto trades. So stay with me for a pretty fun ride as we're seeing a lot of movement in the crypto market as well as the FX market. So before much more ado, let's go ahead and get the disclaimer going here. So the following videos, clips, and demonstrations are for educational and instructional purposes only. Predictive provides these videos purely for the purpose of demonstrating a method of using the product. Users understand that all content used in the video is purely for demonstration purposes only. It's not a guide, does not provide any indication or prediction of actual results. As a user, you understand and agree that hypothetical results obtained through the demonstration do not indicate in any way the results you may receive on using our product. All right, now that we got that lingo out of the way, let's go ahead and get started. So for this session, we'll be using TradingView primarily to get trades set up, to get trades executed and managed as well. So welcome everybody. Feel free to say hi in the chat. If there's any questions or any preferred pairs you want me to take a look at, feel free to type them in there. We'll go ahead and analyze it. In the meantime, we're going to start off with, the lower time frames. Basically, what I have opened up here is the 8-minute time frame, as well as the 1 hour to give us the climate. So we want to see basically what's the bigger picture for that time frame above, right? So that's why we have the 8-minute with the 1 hour. We have the 21-minute with the 4 hour and the 55-minute with the daily time frame. So we'll be able to kind of analyze and see each instrument in 3 different environments and see how it's behaving so that we could potentially get a trade set up. Ultimately, once we get through the majors, we're going to also look at some of the minor pairs, and then we're going to switch to crypto to see if we can get some trades going on there as well. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. So the first one that we do have here is the Aussie Dollar. As we see right here, and well, actually, if you've never seen this before, this might be looking a little confusing to you. So let me just explain first of all what we're looking at here. What is it that we want to see so that we know what to execute on? So, you may be seeing a couple of things that you're familiar with. For example, this moving average down here, the blue line, that's just a 9 moving average on this larger time frame, the 1 hour, which also gets applied to the 4 hour and the daily, as well as some dots down here, right? This is an indicator that we use. It's auto climate. This one is actually free. So you can sign up on our website and get it for free. That basically gives you the overall direction of the pair that you're looking at, or the crypto instrument, or even forex futures and so on in stocks. It works across the board. It gives you the overall direction of that market. So if you have a blue thick dot, that means it is a confirmed up climate. If you have a thin dot, doesn't matter what color, that means it's an unconfirmed climate. And if it's a red thick dot, that means it's a confirmed down climb. So as their names and as their colors may signify, for the blue, we're looking to go up. For the red, we're looking to go short. So we're looking for longs when it's a confirmed up climate, and for shorts when it's a red thick dot. All right, so that kind of covers the bottom half of the screen. Because and as I said, this is just a regular 9 exponential moving average. It's available on every single one of the, what the heck? It's available on every single one of the platforms out there. That's something very easy to get on any chart. The auto climate is available on TradingView, TradeStation, and MetaTrader 5. All right, I prefer to use TradingView, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people out there also prefer to use TradingView as well. All right, so now what about the up here, this chart up here that we're looking at, the 8-minute time frame? Well, you might be thinking to yourself, hey, what the heck is an 8-minute time frame doing here? Well, we've done some back testing, we've done some analysis, and we found certain Time frames are a little more sensitive to movement than others, and that's why we're using them. So between the 821 and 55, which are fib numbers, we're looking to execute on. And the first one that we have up here is, as I said, the Aussie dollar. Now, on this upper chart right here, you're also looking at a few things here that you probably are not used to looking at unless you're subscribed to our app, which is the auto UFOs. These essentially give you areas of interest where we might see an imbalance between buyers and sellers, and they're called auto UFOs because there's unfilled orders, there's potential unfilled orders at these locations, right? Because think about it. If you look at a chart, what does a chart represent? Right? The chart represents filled orders, where filled orders were. Wherever they got filled, that's what that's showing. But it's not showing where the unfilled orders are. Well, that's why we have the auto UFOs. All right. Auto UFOs essentially give us, potential entry and exit points that we should consider should we be choosing to trade an instrument. Should we have permission to trade that instrument is what I really should say. And in this scenario, we're looking at the Aussie dollar in a confirmed up climate, right? It is the third one, the third up climate out of typically, right here it says 5. So what's this telling us is that typically for 5 hours, the Aussie dollar trends up. Does it always do it for 5 hours? No, absolutely not. As you can see here, it went down for more than the 6 that's shown here, it went up for more than the 5 that is shown here. So we're just looking at a standard deviation of how much it goes up and down for. All right. So there's a couple of things that we're interested to see right now. We're seeing that right now the moving average, that blue line that we have here, has a value of 0.73371. What we want to see is a UFO on this upper chart here around that area that's being enveloped, right? So we want to see this 73371 to be enveloped by a UFO. Unfortunately, that's just not the case here, because if that was the case here, there would have been a UFO right here. See, if this was the case, we would essentially be entering this trade at market right now, right? Because the price is currently entering that 733, 78 area, right? So it's very close to our entry point. However, it is not close, that there is no UFO there. Therefore, we don't have a trade on this instrument, right? We don't have a trade, at least on this setup, right? Because we're looking at the 8-minute with the 1 hour. So now, while we still have this open, let's go ahead and open up the 21-minute with the 4 hour and see how that picture is looking. All right, well, that picture is looking extremely extended, right? So we have 16 candles that we've gone down. That means that we have 16 increments of 4 hours that we've been going down on Aussie USD, when we typically go down for 5. So this is extremely overextended. Even though it's a confirmed, we're simply going to pass on this, mainly because we don't want to get into, the end of a trend, right? If you were to simplify this auto climate, it's definitely a lot more, because there's counts, there's confirmations, hopeful versus sensible, and so on, which you can get into a little bit more as you use the indicator and ask questions and so on. But right now, from first look, that's also the power of this, in my opinion. From first look, I immediately pass on this because it is an overextended climb. As a matter of fact, it's the 16th candle down out of typically 5. This is more than 3 times its extension point. All right, so let's go ahead and go into the daily with the 55-minute and see how that looks. All right, here we go. That's looking a little better. So we have a confirmed down climate. Okay, it's the second one out of typically 6. And even though you might say, hey, what the heck, you're rounding up, 5.07, rounds down to 5. Well, when it comes to the climate, we do want to give it as much of a time to play out. So even if this was 5.01, I would still round it up to 6, you always want to round up when it comes to things that, need time. At least in my opinion, that's how it should be. But, as far as, for example, numbers, you can always round them down. It's really up to you. Nobody can tell you exactly what to do. I'm just telling you how I do it on my end. All right. And then as far as the 55-minute time frame up above, we want to see a UFO around this 73,621 area. Okay. Well, while we don't have a UFO at that 621 area, we do have this, fairly substantial UFO starting at 73,704. Now, something that you also have to bear in mind, the moving average, it's in its name, right? It moves. As price moves, so will the moving average. So what will happen, let's say, something happens, maybe some news moves the market fairly fast. As we see here, we do have, what is it? Consumer sentiment coming in today for the Aussie. So, we do have some news coming up, and this is looking like it's going to be tomorrow, I believe, yeah? Yeah, so this is going to be, actually, no, it's tonight at 8:30 Eastern, okay? So we do have some news. So let's say this news pushes up price, like this, right? So let's say, kind of still dilly-dallies here, maybe shoots down a little bit, test this UFO here, and then as the news, kind of does this, and then the news shoots it up there. Right? Well, there you go. As price was kind of consolidating, so was the moving average moving down. But then as the price shoots up, the moving average is going to try to catch up to it. Our assumption and our, analysis is that as this moving average is about here right now, right, that something like this would happen. So that they would cross and be enveloped by this UFO up here. All right. Given that analysis, that means we do have a potential entry here. Our potential entry is right here at the 73,706. Just to keep it simple, I'm just going to go ahead and get this order set up here. So as we said, it's 73,706. I'm just going to 73,706. Right. That's our entry point. We're going to do a two-leg order, right? A take profit and a stop loss. I'm going to risk $150 per trade. And that's the beauty of TradeStation. TradingView, that it gives you that analysis right there for you. Now, obviously, what is the next step? Well, where do we take profits and where do we take stops? Before we analyze that, right, we found that we have an entry. But now we need to analyze what's our risk to reward ratio. Right? What, obviously, we need to be risking something here where we're going to be risking $300. But what are we, potentially risking that $300 for? How much are we trying to gain? The way we analyze that is by actually utilizing the auto UFOs on that larger time frame to figure out where our final target will be. And then we're going to see. So our final target, our first opposing UFO, right? We're going short. So anything that's green is our opposing portion, our opposing section. We're looking that it starts down here at 72,222. So that will be our final target. So let's go ahead and frame this trade out, and we're going to see what the risk to reward ratio is going to be looking like. All right, now before I continue, I just want to kind of ask if everybody's following along. If what I'm showing you is maybe it's not making sense, but at least it's easy to follow. It's straightforward enough to the point where there's really no confusion as to the size as far and the direction of my entry, while I explain where the stops and exits would be. So just if you guys could confirm that in the chat, I would really appreciate it. In the meantime, I just want to take a look and see what exactly is going on here, because we have a couple of overlapping UFOs. I want to make sure that this trade is an actual trade. Yeah, we're good. Okay, I just wanted to make sure this is empty space here, so that's where stop will be going. All right, Steve saying all good. Gotcha. And if you guys don't mind, if you've seen the auto UFOs before in any of these FX webinars, please feel free to type it in the chat. I just want to make sure you know how many people are seeing this stuff for the first time and how many people are seeing this, you know, maybe for the second or third or fourth time. So just let me know. So let's go ahead and set this trade up. So we're looking at 73,706 to be our entry price. We're gonna risk 150 bucks. Our stop is the first thing that we want to realize, and our stop has to be essentially above where we're entering in the white space, right? It cannot be within another UFO because then you're just, you know, you're putting odds against your favor instead of for your favor. So since there's a UFO right at my stop where my stop would typically go, right? Because this UFO is, just to kind of show it a little bit better. Oh, where's my drawing tools? Okay, just to kind of show this a little bit better. This UFO is essentially this entire area, right? This purple area, right? Well, as we see, there's actually another UFO right above it. So that UFO represents this area. So what we want to have, right? We want to have, and just to make it a little more equal, we want to have our stop above these UFOs. All right. So let's go ahead and set them up. Just 1 second here. There we go. All right. So our entry point, 73,706, 150 risk. Our stop loss will need to be above this 74,028. And what I typically do is actually 7 pips above this 74,02. So we're just going to round this down to 74,02. Add another 7. So that's 74,09. So 74. All right. Okay, that's going to be our risk. So it's 38.4 pips. We're just going to copy that over there, right there. So that's a 1-to-1. And instead of I'm actually just going to leave this on for a month, let's call it. All right, so we're going to sell the Aussie at 73,706. We're going to take profit 38.4 pips down, meaning 73,322. And our stop is going to be above at 74,09. So we're going to go ahead and click that right there. I'm just going to save this here. All right, now we're going to do the same thing again. Now we're going to put the second leg in, right? 73,706. We're going to take profit and stop loss. Stop is going to remain the same, 38.4. Now the take profit though, oh, actually, let me just, I need to do this a little differently. Okay, 0.73706. We're going to be risking 150 bucks again, right? And we're looking at 38.4 pips. Now for the take profit for the final target, we're looking at down here at 0.7222. All right. And we're going to do the same thing. Good for a month. Oh boy, I don't know why it's changing this again. Hold on 1 second. 73,706. Every time it moves it, it changes it on me. I forget how it is to dollars and percents. All right, I'm just going to close that. I'm going to redo it again. So limit 0.73706. All right, and we're going to do take profit and stop loss, 150 bucks, 38.4, 7222. All right. Okay, so there we go. We have our trade set up right there. As you see, the stop loss is up above in the white space. Sell limit at 73,706. And we have the take profit at the final target at 72,222. All right, the first opposing UFO down below. All right, so that's our trade setup for the Aussie dollar if you want to take a screenshot, feel free to do so. Just gonna go ahead and close this out. So what we have here is that's our first take profit, which interestingly enough, is actually right in front of that UFO right there. So it's good to see that. Obviously, if price does shoot up to our entry point, there's a good chance that we'll make some UFOs down below, which is okay. We don't mind that, mainly because we're going to be entering with the climate rather than just with the UFO. So we're trying to combine, as many things as we can to be able to, figure out what is our risk to reward, as well as, setting as many odds in our favor when it comes to this execution. All right, so more or less, I mean, there are some, finer kinks into putting these trades together, but that's pretty much the analysis that we do on every one of these instruments. And the powerful thing about this is as I switch through these, you'll actually see, how quickly you can figure things out and how quickly you can say yes or no to trades and charts. As you get more experienced with this, it's really going to take you no more than 5 minutes per chart to analyze and figure out and say, hey, okay, I have a trade here, or hey, okay, I don't have a trade here. It's really, really that simple. So let's go ahead and start the same thing we did earlier. We're going to start it from the smallest time frame, set of time frames. So we're going to look at the bottom here. All right, I'm going to disable this because right now we're not looking for targets. We're just looking to see how the market is looking like. On the 1 hour time frame, we're in a down climate. We're currently on the 6th down climate out of typically 7. So we still have an hour to look for a trade before this becomes overextended. But looking at this right off the bat, I mean, I just, we're at 1.17257. The closest UFO is up here at 174.38. That's just, and it's such a small UFO that trying to, it's what is it, 2.5 pip UFO. This is just not easy to precisely say, okay, if price moves up, the moving average is gonna meet with it exactly between these 2 pips, right? I mean, that's if anybody can guess that to that point, hats off to them. But as of right now, I'm going to pass on this, mainly because it's like trying to hit a bullseye while riding the train with a cannonball. All right, not easy to do. So we're gonna go ahead and switch this to the 4 hour with the 21-minute time frame and see how that's looking. That's looking extremely overextended. As you see, it's the 24th 4 hour candle down out of typically 6. So this is extremely overextended. So we're going to go ahead and pass on that. Could it go further? Absolutely. Could it go for, 48 candles? Absolutely. But is there a high probability, a high likelihood of that happening in this scenario? No. All right, so we're going to go and switch this to the 55-minute with the daily and see how that looks. And that looks like the euro fell off a cliff, right? Looking at the same thing, at least this one is looking a little bit better. So we're at this 4th day down out of typically 5. So we have a whole day to potentially develop a trade. But in all reality and honesty, I mean, the distance between the moving average and current price is substantial right here. So unless some sort of, magical news moves this market from this, close to 171.16, it somehow moves it all the way up to 178.90. This is not gonna be a valid trade. So 178.96. This is most likely to be into this area up here. Again, because of the time allotment, right? We only have 1 day to get to move. What is it? Close to 600 pips or something, right? Could that happen? Sure. Is it likely to happen? No. So we're going to go ahead and pass on this one as well. All right. And just like that, within, what's it been, like maybe 5 or 6 minutes or so, we analyzed the Euro USD on, 3 different setups, right? Shorter term, medium term, and intermediate term, I would say, when you're looking at the 55-minute with the daily. You can certainly look at it with like maybe the 144-minute with the weekly, if you want to swing it a little bit longer term. But again, these types of moves is what we're typically trading with. And that's what we analyzed on 3 different time frames, the same instrument. So let me know how's it going so far, guys. You're following along. Is it pretty good to understand? So at the very least, I want to be able to get through some of these Forex pairs, at least the majors, and then switch into some cryptocurrencies to see, if we can find some trades there, because we're finally seeing the market kind of, moving a little bit faster, like where we're used to. So, all right, looking good. Steve, thank you. Everybody else following along, okay? All right. Let's get into the British pound. We're going to do the same thing up here, 8-minute with the 1 hour. Why is it that I can't find my reset? It used to be down there. All right. So we have, looks like a little bit of movement going downwards. First confirmed down climate out of typically 5. Current moving average we need to meet at is at 1.3853. So 3853 is right here. No trade, no UFO there. And even if it were to shoot up, there's no chance that it's going to get up to here to meet with this UFO. For this essentially this moving average number to be developed in a UFO in this upper time frame is what I was trying to, say earlier, but might have been a little too into the trading to say it properly. All right, now looking at the 21-minute and the 4 hour, same thing. First confirmed down climate out of typically 6 in this scenario, 1.3856. 3856 is actually within this UFO here. Okay, so it looks like we do have a trade on this one. All right, now all we just need to do is, for ideally speaking, what I would like to see in this scenario is this low to get broken, perhaps maybe even a close below, and then a pull back up to get us into that trade with close to no money down, and then a movement down. That's what I would ideally like to see. It doesn't always happen. It could be that these lows will hold here, and then we'll do that retest, and then, potentially pull back down. So that's what we're, trying to see, but it looks like it's pushing pretty heavily down. So let's go ahead and set this trade up. All right, so we're looking to sell. We're looking at 38,518. You can always just round this down if you wanted to, 38.51, so you don't miss out on the trade. That's what I typically do, so that way you have just, the full pips instead of the 0.8 at the end. And then as far as quantity, so we're going to go take profit, stop loss, risking the same thing, $150. Our stop loss is going to be right up above here, actually 7 pips above this. So we're going to go with 38,645 is where our 38,645 is where our stop would be. Now I'm just going to go ahead and, round this down to 38.64. And I'm going to add 7 pips, so that's going to be 71. Not 81, 71. That's 20 pips of a stop loss, 20 pips of a take profit. All right, so we're going to go ahead and put that trade in. All right, and now we're going to do the same thing, but I'm going to try to do it the right way this time too. All right, so we got 1.3851. We're gonna do take profit, stop loss, risking 150 bucks, 20 pips stop loss. But for our final target, we're gonna go ahead and enable the auto UFOs on that larger time frame below to see where the larger stack of orders may be. All right, and well, it's showing them there, 35,914. Oh, 35, holy cow. Okay, so that has quite a bit of movement down there, right? The first opposing UFO is actually all the way down here at 36,38.7. So 36,38.7. I'm just going to round this up and call it 36.9. That's a 200 pip move, 200 pip move down. Now I just want to revisit this and put it in the right number, 1, and go ahead and put that order in. All right, so that's that. We have that set up as well. That's our entry, our stop, and our first take profit, and then that's our final take profit down there. So, you know, more or less close to a, you know, now in all reality, and this is just me being, you know, fair and honest with you. We can revisit these next time we come to them. You know, is there a, you know, what's the chances that this trade will end up going all the way to the take profit? I mean, you know, fairly good. However, we do have also trail stop rules that we execute when we manage these trades. All right. And if you, you know, before we get, you know, too far away from this, if you want to, you can definitely check out this link right here where you can sign up for a free membership to be able to get access to at least the auto climate for free. And given that TradingView is also free, you can get yourself set up at fairly, you know, low or no cost when it comes to this. All right, so that's that for the British pound. You know, we found the trade on the intermediate time frame. Let's just go to the daily and the 55-minute to see how that's looking. And interestingly enough, this is actually really good. It's looking fairly good on both of them. Confirmed climate, confirmed down climate. And okay, Steve, I'm gonna take a look at USD Cad since you mentioned it. On the daily with the 55-minute is actually looking fairly similar too, which is great. That kind of gives us a little bit more odds in our favor, right? If we see the largest of pictures that we're looking at looking fairly good, as well as the intermediate one, you know, we're in a fairly good shape, right? And it's rare that you get, you know, overlapping UFOs on both time frames like that, but it does happen, as you see right in front of you. All right, so I'm gonna stick with the intermediate one. You know, I'm okay with it. I'm fairly good with it. I just want to see. So this one is at 38.69. So 38.69 is actually within this UFO. So we do have a UFO here, but the entry for this one is actually a little bit you know, here essentially at one, right at our stop. So you could play this one of two ways, right? You could say, okay, you know what? I'm going in this for the longer term. I'm just gonna move my stop to above this UFO. So that's one way you could do it. Essentially, move this stop to the white space in between here, right? Because this UFO is like this, right? This UFO is here. Right, and then the other one, the other UFO starts over here and goes above. So you could put your stop in between here and the middle of it here, right above the UFO. So essentially move this stop up above if you really want to catch, if you want to enter on the more aggressive section, but give it enough space. Because I think this one we only gave, I think it was like 20 pips. So if you want to give it more space to work, maybe move it up to this 38.90, you know, 2 area. So that's just, you know, food for thought. All right, now that we have a request, Steve, I'm going to take a look at USD Cad. And you said the daily with the 55-minute was actually looking good, I believe. Okay, let's just enable the auto UFOs here. All right, so we have 1.2546 being the moving average, currently into a second day up out of typically 5. However, we don't have UFOs here. 2545. 2545 is around this area. I'm assuming you're probably referring to this, rally right there, essentially. Okay, then the difference might be what we have here, which is the calibration. So I'm running with 0.618, which is also, incidentally or not, a fib number. You might have it set to the default of 0.5. Okay, and there's the UFO right there. Oh, you have it at 0.6. Okay, I have it at 0.618. That's just a fib number that I've found and have rocked since basically starting with the UFOs. The calibration basically allows you to modify the sensitivity of unfilled orders. Meaning, if you want to have a larger stack of, unfilled orders, you may want to, increase that a little bit. If you want to be, less sensitive to their size, you just want to see UFOs, regardless of the quantity or quality of them, then you can reduce that number a little bit more, and you can play with that calibration to your preference. Everything I've back tested, everything I've traded, live sim and everything in between, I've done it with a 0.618 calibration. So just so you're aware. All right. But let's take a look. Now let's drill down to the 4-hour with the 21-minute. See how that looks. All right. So here we go. On the 21-minute, we actually have a UFO there. We are on the 6-day out of, on the 4-hour candle out of typically 5. So immediately passing on that. It's past the sensible climate, right? Something that makes sense is when the climate starts and up until its point of standard deviation. So anything between 1 and 5 is okay. Anything above that, that means you're getting a little bit hopeful into that trade. Okay, and now let's take a look at the hourly with the 8-minute. Just gonna disable these for now, just so it's a little bit clearer. All right, we actually have an up climate. However, we're trading below the moving average, so that in itself is a signal that this climate may be changing soon. As you see here, it's the first one. Moving average at 25,707, and current price is at 25,668. Oh, what was that? Study error. Took too long to execute. Okay. I can always just reset the chart and enable and disable these. Usually that gets it done. There it is. All right, so we're going to go ahead and pass on USD Cad. Let's take a look at USD Swiss franc. We're looking at extended climate there. Let's see what the 4-hour looks like. Extended climate there, daily. All right, second day out of typically 6. However, it's so far from the ATR that I'm just not gonna look at it anymore. The yen. Whew. 23 out of typically 7. That's also quite overextended on the 4-hour. 24 on the daily. The third one, also not, most likely not going to happen within this trade session. All right, so I'm going to reset this. Let's go ahead and get into some crypto trades. All right. Axis was just ripping this morning when I first opened it up. I saw the double-digit percentages again on Axis. So, we saw something earlier, just to kind of give you a bit of perspective. we saw something like that happen a few days ago, and something similar happened basically at the beginning of August. So this went from essentially the low, the 30s, it jumped up to the 40s, then it stayed kind of in a zigzag motion, another huge push up into the 45s, tested a little bit below, and then now we're just ripping in the past couple of hours. As you see here, 35% in a matter of 1, 2, 3, 4 hours. Okay, that's, quite a bit of money to be made there. So let's go ahead and see if there's any chance we could grab some of this on board. Now on the hourly, we're seeing that we're already overextended. On the 4 hour, we actually are overextended as well. And then we don't have the information for the daily yet, just because these markets have just not traded that long. So, all right, yep, this is at still at around this 45 area, and this is at 58. So nothing to do there. I just wanted to kind of show that one because it is extremely fast moving upward movement. Same thing with ADA, right? It's popping up. I wouldn't say the same thing percentage wise, right? Because ADA is $1.57, AXS is at $58 with a 35% change. So that's definitely no joke movement. Looking at ADA right now, it is fairly, why is it erroring out? I'm not quite sure. Let's try to put it back on. Flying saucers. Well, not 3 times, jeez. All right. I'm not quite sure why it was erroring out like that. It was saying it was taking too long to respond. All right. Now, no UFOs nearby to take advantage of. However, should this come, I wouldn't say crashing down, but as of right now, the moving average is way down here at 43, 47, and we're at 156. So good chance that we won't be able to catch onto that. Let's take a look at some of these other ones. So Sol, we're going to look at, it's at 40.8, pushing down. Moving average is at 37.54. That's in this essentially area down below. 37.54. Yeah, 37. So this UFO might be actually a proper entry for this. Right here at 36.7, because as price moves down, we want the moving average to be enveloped by this UFO, and the right places is down here. So that would be our potential entry right here, 36,633. Right. So looking to buy. And depending on what you want to do with crypto, I typically trade it on the 55-minute with the daily. If you're trying to maybe scalp, then you can go down to the lower time frames. But I typically like to hold it for at least a few days to give it enough movement to work itself out. If you are trading it leveraged, if you're not, let's say you're not in the US, you're in Europe or anywhere else in the world where they allow it to trade it leveraged on Binance, then you can certainly trade it on shorter time frames, on quicker scalps, and so on. But as I said, so the price of entry would be down here at this 36. What is this going to be? 36,609. All right, take profit, stop loss. Now, we're not going to be worrying about the pips too much here, as much as, below. So we want to give it at least about 20 cents below. So if the bottom of this is at 35,675, all right, so this is the bottom one, 675. So we're going to go ahead and put this at 47.5. All right, so we're just going to do the same thing up here. All right, that's our T1, risking 150 bucks. There it is. No, something didn't. I did something wrong there for sure. This stop loss needs to be down below, and the T1 needs to be the same. So let me redo that trade again. Okay. So we have, go ahead and cancel that. And cancel that. Not sure why it wasn't letting me cancel it right there, but let's go ahead and get that set up again. Yeah, I guess I'm just having some issues with the indicator today. So we said our entry was down here at 36,609. So buy 36,609. We're gonna do take profit, stop loss, risking 150 bucks. And our stop, we said the bottom of this was at 35,675. So when we take down 20 cents, that should be 475. Okay, there it is. Not sure what happened there. All right. That's looking much better. And now for a final target, which is something we should have seen before, it looks like we don't have anything. So what we're going to do, that means we're just going to have to trail stop this. And you can utilize different types of rules for trail stopping it. One rule that's really easy to utilize. Okay, there we go. Okay, just making sure this is right. One rule that you can really easily utilize is by trail stopping it when a new UFO forms. So let's say, for example, something like this were to happen, right? We were to, let's just say, price was to move down and, head out to our buy. Let's say it takes out our T1 almost right away, tests it again, and shoots up again. Let's say a new UFO forms right here. Okay, I understand. Support will just get it wrapped up as soon as we finish this. Let's say this new UFO forms here. So after you're out of risk by taking your T1, what you can do is you can take your stop and move it right below, about 20 cents below the auto UFO down below. Okay, so that's something you can definitely utilize to basically trail stop this. So, all right, and that's that, folks. I'm just going to go ahead and place the remainder of the trade, 36,609. Take profit, we're going to leave open. Stop loss is going to be the same. And that should be that. I think the sizing definitely got wrong here. Shouldn't be 1,100 units. It should have been another 132. There it is. All right. Thank you very much, folks, for joining me. Again, the link was shared right there with you. Feel free to sign up for it. Take care. Bye-bye.